So, someone who is starting out, John, the idea that someday I'm going to have written 3,000 blog posts can seem daunting, right?
Sure.
And a complaint all the time that I get from clients and people that I'm working with about this idea of inbound marketing and marketing as a selling tool say, Brad, content is just really hard. I sit down to write this stuff. I don't know what to write. How do you get people started in that, something that's 10 years from now is going to seem like second nature?
Yeah, it is very difficult, and I'm not going to suggest that anybody should try to model what they're doing after me. I caught it at a time when it was just taking off.
Yeah.
It really allowed me to build my business. Now I sit down and write 700 words, and I can say that made me X amount of money. And that's hard, obviously, to do in the beginning. One of the things that I will tell you that happened for me right away was, and I think that this opportunity is still there, that people were finding me when they were going out and asking the Google, questions
Right.
for how to find what they were looking for. They weren't saying, "I wonder what John wrote today on his fabulous blog." I mean, they were going and putting in search queries, and Google was saying, "You know what? We think this is good educational content that addresses what you're looking for. Here you go." And that right off the bat, that was instantaneous, and right off the bat, that sort of had the light bulb come on for me, saying, "Hey, this is a way for me to this is SEO."
Right.
Plain and simple, whatever we're going to call it, all the tricks and stuff that you need to learn, this is what's going to make me rank. And so when a lot of times when people will say, "I don't know what to write," I think that there's so many people that still look at this like it's a publication, and that you're going to sit down in front of a blank screen and need to craft 789 of the finest words anyone's ever written. And I think that's what really scares people to death. What I tell people, and salespeople particularly, because they're the ones getting the best search engine queries in the world. They're called questions.
Right.
And so when somebody asks you a question about what you do, how your product works, how you serve somebody, how they can overcome X challenge, just start writing those down, and that's your blog content. Answer those questions, and of course the great thing is there's probably other people asking those, so you're going to rank for them. The other great thing is now when somebody asks that question, you've got a document to point them to. So a lot of times what I will do with content, certainly, and I suggest people do, is first off I tell them to actually look at their content creation as a body of work. So it's not just what do I want to write today, it's what are the 10 things I know I need to write in this quarter, because I need information on this and this and this and this, because I know it'll serve me well down the road. Or I'll give you another one. What are 10 blog posts that I could put together in an ebook?
Yeah.
And it would address a really big idea that I know all my clients are having. Or, what's a workshop that I could produce because of these, 3 blog posts? And I think when you start thinking about that, you start thinking about answering questions, you start thinking about SEO, you start thinking about repurposing content. My experience is when people kind of buy into that, all of a sudden they can't turn the tap off.
Yeah.
I mean, they know what to write about every day.
Yeah, I think you're right. I always tell people to, if you've answered a question 5 times this week, write it down. Or 5 times this month, just write that answer down, because there are more people looking at it.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, if you're, some of your listeners, work for organizations that, they basically have to go out there and use the content that's being put out in some cases, and they've got, I'll tell you, the greatest source of content is go make friends with somebody in customer service and ask them if they'll show you their sent email box. Because I can't tell you how many times I have found gold mines for organizations by doing that very trick. They've got all these IT people and all these customer service people, and all these technical people that should be writing blog content, but that won't.
Yeah, right.
But they're actually writing great blog content every day without even knowing it, because they're answering all the questions that customers have. And it's amazing what a source of content that can be.
And your other point is also a good one, that Google has told us that what they want to do is connect searchers with the most relevant content, right? So all of the SEO tools and practices that we're using to try to get ourselves onto page 1, if we write the most relevant content, Google's going to put us on the page 1, whether we're using those tools and tricks or not.
Well, I believe that's true, and I mean there are a couple of other signals that are very important to Google. I mean, one being that somebody else thinks that that's good, relevant content.
Right.
So, but one of the things I personally believe and have found is that if you're writing good blog content and you're doing it consistently, and then you're going out and say it to social media circles and you're amplifying that content, you know, with your buddies on LinkedIn or with the people on Facebook and Twitter, all of a sudden what's going to happen is you're going to start drawing links back to that content because other people are going to start saying, yeah, this is pretty good. You should go read what Brad wrote today on this topic. And that, you know, that combination of good content with other people then pointing to it is, you know, sorry if there's any SEO folks listening, but that is SEO.